Thomas was hailed as the pillar of humanity by every newspaper in the country. One day Thomas came across the biggest philanthropist who donated his kidney to Thomas on one condition: that his name will be kept a secret. Before you are lost in the story, subscribe my channel to receive such moral stories. Thomas lay in his recovery bed, his body mending, but his spirit was fractured. The weight of the situation was simple, yet devastating. The man who had built schools, hospitals, and feeding programs, the man whom the newspapers dubbed the pillar of humanity, had been saved not by his own blood, but by a ghost. For years, Thomas had treated philanthropy like a business transaction. He gave, the public applauded, his legacy grew. He had raised his children, Andrew and Maria, to be efficient, focused, and ambitious. They were successful in their own right, but they viewed the world through the same lens of value and investment as their father. When the doctors asked for a kidney, both hesitated out of a deep-seated, practical fear for their own futures and logic of self-preference. The arrival of the anonymous kidney, however, broke that logic. Despite the donor's strict request for anonymity, Thomas's pride would not allow him to leave it a mystery. He tasked his most trusted aide to find the benefactor. He needed to know why someone would give a part of themselves to a man they didn't know. 2 weeks later, the aide returned with a folder and a look of profound discomfort. "The donor is a man named Elias," the aide said softly. "He works in the warehouse of one of your logistics subsidiaries. He has worked there for 20 years. Thomas frowned. "I don't recall." "What did I do for him?" "Nothing, sir," the aide replied. "But his daughter was a student at the secondary school your trust funded. She had an illness that required surgery, a surgery your organization's grant covered 4 years ago. She lived. Elias said he spent every day since then looking for a way to pay back a debt he felt he owed to the pillar of humanity. Thomas sat in silence. The irony was a physical blow. He had donated money to a project, seeing it as a tax deduction or a strategic brand move. To him, the school was just another entry in his ledger. To Elias, it was a lifeline. Elias hadn't given the kidney because of Thomas's greatness. He had given it because of the seed of goodness Thomas had planted, a seed Thomas himself had forgotten he even sowed. Thomas was never angry on his children because he never taught them to sacrifice. Thomas didn't seek out Elias to offer him money, nor did he make a grand gesture to regain his reputation. Instead, he did something entirely uncharacteristic. He stepped down from his executive role and spent his recovery period working anonymously in the very warehouse where Elias worked. He spent his days learning the names, the struggles, and the faces of the people he had previously only seen as statistics. He didn't try to change his legacy, he started trying to change his soul. And for the first time in his life, his children began to watch, not because they were told to, but because they finally saw something in their father that was more valuable than business success. This act of Thomas changed the entire working environment of his organization, and no one was seen as profit or loss statement.